Blog Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Saideh Browne, and welcome to today's show. I have a wonderful series planned. By the time you're listening to this podcast, my new book, Wind From Within, should be on Amazon. You know how those production things go. But you should be able to purchase Wind From Within. And so I just felt in my heart and in my spirit that I wanted to do a podcast series to support the book. Wind From Within is probably one of the most important books that I've ever written. The first one was Life Remix. It took me a really long time to write Life Remix because America was going through a really crazy time. I wrote it like 2008, 2009, when the economy was crashing, people were losing their jobs, people were losing their homes. You know, at that time I was in my late 30s. I thought I would be kind of a filthy, stinking rich millionaire by that point. And I, along with a lot of other people, were like, what the heck just happened? Like, what? How did this happen? And so Life Remixed was just really my take on what the heck was going on in society with our collective consciousness and how we move forward, how we move past these institutions' betrayal of our trust, churches, the government, schools, all of the things that we were taught to trust as children, particularly my generation. And, so I took a long time to write Life Remix. There's some really good stuff in there. But I have to say, next to Life Remix, Wind From Within, it's a power-packed book because this is a collection of my nuggets of wisdom that I have amassed over the years. You know, I shared with so many people. I've been self-employed since I was probably about 23 years old. So you're talking 1994, maybe 1995, before people knew what entrepreneurship was, before, the buzzwords and SEO, search engine optimization, and Shopify and all of these things. There was no Facebook. I remember starting my first company with flyers, and the flyers were probably 50 cents a copy, and I'm passing flyers out on a street corner to promote my business. And so now there's so many tools and resources to make things so much easier. So just over the years, the lumps, the bumps I've taken, trying to raise my children while being an entrepreneur. It's funny, I've shared this before. My grandmother asked me several times, God bless her, now as of this recording, she's 94 years old. I've been on the air doing these shows and podcasts for 7 years now. But so my grandmother was in her mid-80s when we started, late 80s when I started this. But she says, baby, what am I going to tell people in church that you do? And I said, Grandma, you tell them I go to work just like everybody else. So, you had to combat that. So it's just, I've had to have this fire in my belly. I don't even want to cry because I'm so passionate about this, but this fire in my belly to maximize who Saideh is on planet Earth while I have the time to do it. And time is the operative word. And so part of this Wind From Within podcast series, I felt it necessary to dedicate one whole segment on time and time management. I became fascinated with time when I first started hosting my podcast. It started as Life Remixed Radio, an homage to my book at the time, Life Remixed. And Life Remixed Radio started out on Blog Talk Radio on June 26, 2008. I came on live 12 noon every day for an hour. And I remember when I was writing my first promo pieces, like, hey, 12 noon. And something funny happened when I started hosting the show and I would open up the chat room. People would say, hey, Sai, I'm just sitting down at work. I have to turn, it on mute. My speaker's low because I'm at work. And I'm like, what? It's not where are you at? 9 o'clock in the morning. And so I had people from California listening to my show. I had people from Chicago listening to my show, people from Tennessee. These are all, the list goes on of people that were my ardent supporters from day one, before people even knew what the hell a podcast was. And I thought I was crazy probably for like the first 2 years, because I was trying to explain to people, just turn on your computer and listen. Trust me, it's going to work. So anyway, I realized one day when I was writing a promo piece, what time do I put on the flyer? Like, I didn't even know. And I realized at that moment, time really doesn't exist. All we have is right now. Follow me on this. Time really, as we thought it existed, does not exist. We look at time as linear, 1 second after the next, after the next, after the next. And that's really not the best way to perceive time. Because I realized in New York, it's 12 o'clock. In California, it's 9. In Louisiana, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So how, if we're looking at the truth, and if we're looking at truth, can it be all of these different times, but we're all here together right now? So I did an episode on time doesn't really exist, or does time really exist? And I had people on the show. I think I probably need to toss that back up on the site, so people can listen to it. But I did a whole piece, does time really exist? This really boggled my mind, like this whole thing, this concept of time. And so now here we are 6-7 years later, and this whole concept of mastering time and time management is still 2 layers. It hasn't, a layer or two underneath of something that I want to resolve before I die. On my bucket list is not to ride the tallest roller coaster. I want to fully comprehend this concept of time and space as it relates to how we move forward in our daily lives. And so I have the pleasure of being who I am and speaking with who I feel are some of the most brilliant minds on the face of the planet. When you start to deal with certain people, all you need is 3 minutes of their time. You don't need that much. That's one of the reasons why people used to say, Sai, what do you charge by the hour? I never fell into that, because if I sit with you for an hour, I could share millions and millions of dollars. Instead, let's just be friends and have quick conversations. And I found that adopting that philosophy, I've been able to be more successful than me sitting down talking to you for an hour, or me paying somebody for an hour of their time. I'd rather, if I have to pay, here's X number of dollars for an hour of your time, but I don't need it right now, because everything is evolving. I'll take 3 minutes here, 7 minutes here, 4 minutes there, 6 minutes here. That's how I have learned to grow into the awesome, phenomenal Saideh that I am today. I wasn't always an awesome, phenomenal Saideh. Trust and believe. I've got 2 sons that will probably be on my left shoulder and my right shoulder, being like, oh my gosh, my mom is nuts. But getting back to this concept of time, I firmly believe with every fiber of my being that there's no such thing as time in a linear capacity. The only thing we have is right now. However, in order to make society function and exist and run, the Bible speaks of everything being done in decency and in order. I do believe the concept of time aids in us, in our ability to live in an orderly society. So planes need to take off on time. We need to be at work on time. I need to meet with my trainer at a certain time. I do believe that we do need conceptually, and I'm just going to keep saying that, time in order for us to live in a decent and orderly way. So with that being said, I have 2 pieces of information. This is not a 10 tips for this, 5 tips for this, 21 tips. I have 2 things to share with you, 2 simple things. Number 1, plan ahead, and number 2, be more disciplined. That's it. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of those right now, but the reality is, remember, this is about winning from within. Plan ahead and be more disciplined. And let me get into this a little bit. I have a friend, awesome girl. I mean, just, great mom. She's an entrepreneur, and for some reason, things never seem to get done with her. Can't figure out why. And I used to say, you have to plan ahead. You have to be able to know what you need to get done. And I do believe that there's this huge space of sometimes we don't know what we need to know. Granted, that's fine. But I do believe a certain degree of planning is required in order for us to be successful. Follow me on this one. When I wake up, my day, for the most part, is already planned. Here's why. I am always, now at this juncture in my life, honest with myself. I know what I can do, and I know what I cannot do. And does that piss people off? All the damn time. All the damn time. People think, well, you can never go out to lunch. I can't. I am unable to. It does not fit. It doesn't make sense for me. It is not part of what I need to do. I'm not abrupt, but I'm honest with myself. I remember I told somebody that I don't take meetings. I don't do meetings. And years ago, I met this guy in Atlanta, and he wanted to do business with me. And I said, well, let's meet. And he said to me, I don't do meetings. I was so offended. I was so angry. I was like, you jerk. I called him other choice words. But he was right. And once I adopted that into my life, it has made my life so much better, because I feel so much time is wasted in transit, this person's late, blah, blah, blah. I was honest with myself that this is something that I don't like doing and does not fit my character and does not fit what I need to do. When you plan ahead, you have to be honest with yourself in your own capabilities and the things that you're able to do. My day is planned. So last Tuesday, I said, hey, on Thursday, I have to do this. 3 months ago, I said, on Thursday, I have to do this. 2 weeks ago, I put in my calendar, on Thursday, I have to do this. So when I wake up on Thursday, I don't have to figure out what to do, because I've already, as life has been progressing, put it in my calendar, and I know what I need to do that day. I'm honest with myself. And when I'm honest with myself and don't do unnecessary things, and I properly plan ahead, it's amazing how much stuff I can get done in a day. Number 2, I wake up very early in the morning. I don't know how people can wake up at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. By 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm starting to, woo, I've already been to the gym, got things done. Think about it. If you plan ahead and you're honest with yourself and you prioritize and you know what needs to get done, honestly, my real work in a day is done by 10 o'clock in the morning. For real. I'll get a facial, I'll train, I'll go to the gym, and people are like, yo, Sai, how do you live your life? I plan ahead, I wake up early, I get things done, get my oil changes. I'm the first one at the dealership, get my oil changes, I have to literally go and get a wheel alignment. because we had a lot of snow here in New York this past winter. My appointment is for 7:15. As soon as I get off the air, I am going right to the dealer. Plan ahead. Be honest with yourself. That way when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to figure out what to do. And this is one of her challenges. She'll wake up every day, okay, what do I need to do today? Nah, you already failed. Hashtag already failed. And we discussed it, and we discussed ways of improvement. The second piece to that, remember I said I had two pieces, is become more disciplined. Americans, because I'm an American, so I can only speak about the people I know, can't speak about the Russians, the Chinese, the Koreans. I don't know them. That's not me. I'm an American. 212 New York, born, bred, and raised. Many of us have no discipline. America has created this culture of whatever, whenever, however, and it is destroying us. Everything the Bible speaks, and you guys know I am not a religious fanatic. I read all types of books, but the Bible just has some really good stuff in it, I must say. But it says all things are, now I just drew a blank. All things are permissible, but everything is not wise. That's the paraphrasing of it. All things are permissible, but everything is not wise. Meaning you could do whatever you want to do, but that doesn't make it prudent or right to do. It is about becoming disciplined. Put a time limit to the tasks that you have to accomplish. I'm a creative person, so that's the thing I struggle with the most. I would sit down and say I'm spending 2 hours to write, get into a writing zone, 4 hours have passed by, and I have totally blown off everything else I had to do that day. And then you piss people off. That's not a good thing. When you're disciplined, you have to put a time limit to each task, rid yourself of distractions, and get the things done that you need to get done. Winning from within is simple, but it's not easy. Keep that. Winning from within is simple, but it's not easy. When we're talking about time management, planning ahead and being more disciplined, to me, are the two most critical pieces of success. I am an extremely successful person, and I'm proud. I'm thankful. I live in a nice home. I have great kids sometimes. Marriage, I have worked hard and busted my hump to get here, and I have some of the most amazing friendships. And when I had to reflect back when writing Win from Within about what can I extract from Saideh to share that makes sense, when it came to this time management piece, it really was about me getting up early, knocking things out that I had to do, so I had the afternoon to spend time on the things that I wanted to do. When my children were little, I was running 2 companies at the time. This is in the 90s going into the 2000s. My children are now both in their 20s. I would get up, get their lunches packed, get them off to school, and get everything done. Then one of my oldest son, his school didn't have a lunchroom, so you had to send a certain type of lunch, which I never did, so I would bring him lunch every day. And, I brought him lunch. I would sit with him, and people were like, you literally take your son lunch to, take his lunch to school? I'm like, yeah. And I work every day. We are all given 24 hours in a day. How are you going to master and amplify and magnify and extend, and I use extend in quotes, extend your 24 hours? By becoming more efficient with your time. Everybody that wakes up in the morning, when God gives us breath to wake up, we all have the same 24 hours. Now, there's little ways to buy time. Delegate. I delegate like crazy. I remember one Saturday morning, I said, you know what? The snow is gone. Starting to get a little nice in the house. Let me crack the windows, mop the floors, freshen up, move the furniture, get the dust bunnies from behind the sofa. You get cabin fever. You're closing in the winter. And just as I was getting ready to start, doing some things around the house, my son woke up and came into the dining room. He was like, good morning, Mom. I was like, hey, glad to see you. I need your help. I need you to do this, and this before you leave the house today. He was like, okay, Mom. They give you a little, can you make me breakfast? Yeah, sure, I'll scramble you an egg. That takes like 2 minutes. And he did it. So I just bought, in italics, myself an hour and a half that I really did not have, that I thought I was going to spend pleasurably tending to my house. But I bought myself time. I delegated. At the end of the day, the end of our 24 hours, when we hit 23 hours and 58 minutes, have we really been able to accomplish what we really wanted, what we needed to, and what we wanted to accomplish that day? That's really the question. And I firmly believe, if you plan ahead, if you're honest with yourself, I can make 10 phone calls today. You put that in your calendar. You're disciplined to get it done. You will be amazed at how successful you are. It's all about winning. Doesn't come from the outside. No one can step in your head and say, hey, Saideh, this is how you win. It doesn't work that way. It truly doesn't. I believe everyone is born with the capability to thrive and excel in some area of their life. I firmly believe that. Maybe it's because I believe in unicorns and butterflies and fairy tales, but I really do believe that. But how do you spend the 24 hours that you're blessed with every single day? I am grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful for the friendships. I'm grateful that today I was given another 24 hours for me to get this thing called life right, to work on it. So my challenge to you and my prayer for you is to master what you have in front of you right now. Don't worry about tomorrow, because the more you worry, the more you're actually betting against yourself. Don't bet against yourself. The more you worry, the more you bet against yourself. And the only reason we worry is because we haven't properly planned. Plan ahead, be honest, prioritize, delegate, and then once that's done, just rock. Be in discipline and make it happen. Just rock it. Take it from the core of who you are and get it done. You can do it. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much for listening to this success series. Always remember, please remember this. We shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that we can do or any kindness that we can show to any human being, let us do it now. Let us not defer or neglect it, for we shall not pass this way again. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. I love you all for listening, and I'll see you soon.